everyone. This is Reverend Kenneth Price on Sunday, October 6th, with Reverend Dale Blackford for his weekly podcast, Freedom from Suffering. And this podcast is attached to our ministry. Dale and I started a ministry, I think it was last spring, twoormoreare1.com, and everything is down in the description line. I really don't need to introduce Dale. I've been doing this ever since we started this podcast. So basically, I'll just kind of share with you. Dale has been a Unity minister for I don't know how many decades. I've been ordained since January, so I'm kind of the new man on the block. But we are both on the same page. All roads lead to Rome, whether it's A Course in Miracles or Unity. And Dale and I just we found one another probably close to 15 years ago. Our paths just keep crossing, and they finally crossed and merged back in the spring when we came up with twoormoreare1.com. I love doing this every Sunday with Dale. His messages go in many different directions. I say this every time, and they always merge. So I listen very carefully. I donate an entire hour to listen very carefully. And then I record these on Zoom, and then I upload them to YouTube, and we've got a whole YouTube channel attached to the ministry. So look down in the description line for our website, and that's my introduction. Hi, Dale. How was your week?
Hey, Kenny. Hi. How you doing?
What are we? There are so many paths to freedom from suffering. And basically, like you said, all we have to do is live in the present moment. Oh, is that all we have to do? Live in the present moment. But what's in the way of the present moment? I don't know.
Well, that's the question. And actually, the question's pretty simple. The solution feels kind of difficult because it really has to do with an enormous inertia of attachment that's in the way. It's like there's a huge part of us that cannot and will not accept who we are, and that's a hard thing. And I don't know what that's all about. I really don't know what that's all about, because we're certainly on this planet to wake up as one. And how we got here in this split awareness of, like, so many of us in a sense of individuality. I don't quite, I still don't have any answers for that. Even the concept of evolution, because people, I used to think in terms of it being an evolution, but even evolution seems to me like a phenomenal concept, like in phenomenon. It doesn't feel like reality because there is no space-time. So if there's no space-time, even evolution loses its meaning, because it's based over time. And that phenomenon of seeing how things change in the world, how spirituality expresses itself in the world, is interesting and wonderful, but it's also very deceptive. It's all based on perception. And that's why you got to stay awake. You got to really, to be wise, you have to always in your mind know that you're not, that what you're seeing and what you're creating meaning out of isn't true. It's like there's so much more than that. You're creating some sort of reality that you think and some sort of meaning, but it's not. It's not, it's all based on, it's all based on sand. We did that talk a little while ago about whether or not it's based on rock or sand, and it's based on sand. And again, it's really confusing because, gosh, the stuff with religion, for instance, it's like everybody, people that as they start to wake up, it's like they attack religion, and they attack, that whole concept of like how people view religion. And it's like, well, it's like, I look at it and I go, yeah, because it's like, you can attack all of it if you want, because it's all flawed. But still it has meaning, because there's life in it. There's life in it. So there's meaning in everything. It's just not the meaning that we think it is. And if you're looking for it, like if you're looking for the truth of how to live your life, how to find nirvana, how to find your peace of mind through religion, through meditation, through a teacher, stuff like that, good luck with that. It's already within you. It's like you have it all within you. You always have. And I mean, I was thinking this week, especially about people, like how what we consider ourselves as individuals, these avatars we've created of self, and every one of these is, is like, well, we call it a child of God, but every soul, seeming soul, is a child of the infinite, is a child of perfection, is a child of incredible wonder and safety and beauty. And I mean, if you meet anyone, you're looking at the face of God. You're looking at and I mean the real face of God with its love, that's wholeness. You're looking at it. And if you look in the mirror, that's what you're looking at too. But it doesn't appear that way in this world, because this world is not built upon that. I mean, we've created this world out of polarity. We've created it out of form and out of ideas and out of meanings and concepts. And consequently, it's very hostile. It's very hostile. And that's why even our religions are hostile. I mean, if you go to, if you talk, if anyone who's got a church or something like that, they're dealing in hostile concepts. The whole idea of, I think we talked a little, I don't know if we talked a little bit about this last week, but the whole idea of Jesus didn't come to save anybody. He couldn't come to save anybody because nobody needed saving. He didn't come here to save anyone, because he saw that they were asleep, not in trouble. He saw that everyone was asleep, not in trouble. So he came to lift and to wake people up out of their slumber. That's what he came for, not to save them. And he came to do that because why? He should have? No, because that's who he was, and that's where his guidance in a sense was, to do that. He could do it, so he did it. He raised awareness. He raised perception. He lifted the curtains for those who could see. And then he also knew that at a certain point people couldn't see. Like, when he was crucified, when he went through all that, he knew no one was going to be able to really see that. He was having trouble seeing that. So when he talked to his disciples, he's basically saying, you guys are not going to see this. They're saying, oh, no, we'll see. We've seen who you are. We're going to stick by you to the very end. And he's going, no, you're not. You're going to run like little dogs, because you're going to get lost in it, because you can't. The attachment you have right now is too great for you to see this, and that's okay. But that's reality. That's what's going on. You need to know that. You need to know that you're running not because you're in danger, but because you're attached. Because you can't break the attachment right now, because you can't see through the attachment. That will help you. Then you can turn to the concepts of willingness and stuff like that says, oh, so let me get the problem straight. I'm perfection. I'm the wonder of the universe. Everything's just right in order with me, and the universe supplies and provides for me in every way. It not just things, but beyond things, like blissful stuff. I mean, just being who I am. Universe provides for that, yet I'm not experiencing that. I'm experiencing hostility. I'm experiencing this sense of attachment and smallness as an individual with limits and stuff like that. And even in this land of limits, I get lost in all these things like, well, this is how you multiply your grasp and your meaning on limits and raising limits, when in reality, there are no limits. There are no limits. It's just your sight. It's just your sight, which you cannot see because of the attachment. That is not wrong, but that is reality. And that's one of the first things in spiritual practice that you'll start to get, is that when you're seeing things like what we call lies or perception, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It's not a wrong turn. It just is not true. And you need to hold those things simultaneously. That madness and sanity take place at the same time. And madness is nothing but a turn of the mind, a turn of the perception that says, oh, I'm not seeing sanity. That's madness. Okay. And when your vision turns back into sanity, then you see the clarity of it. You go, oh, I'm not mad anymore. Yes. And you can't make that happen. You can only see it happen when it happens in you. It's like it's a letting go thing. It's one of these letting go things where letting go of the attachment, it lets you see that. I remember I was thinking about this the other day too. about, I don't know, 15 years ago when I was with my friend Larry, and something, well, it was longer than that. Gosh, it was longer than that. Because it was when I met my second wife. I mean, we're talking like 25 years ago. And we were at Unity Village, and when I met her, I was going through some amazing stuff because I was just feeling so attracted and like one with her. I was feeling that. And it was, and I was married at the time, and I was and there was just a lot of stuff going on, and mostly it was emotional than mental. I wasn't having struggles so much with the mental concepts of it, but the emotional stuff, I was just I was all over the place, all over the place. And he, I told him at one point, I said, I think I was crying or something. I said to him, can we go, and we found this little room in Unity Village in one of the little places there. And he just sat with me, and he held me, and I started going through this process. And I went, and he was so good at that for me. I mean, he just really could hold me and not try and fix me and just believed in me. And there was something about that and where I was, that what started to happen was I started to really sob. I mean, we're talking about the deepest sobbing I've ever experienced in my life, where it was just like, like almost like, coming from your gut, like, just coming out almost like that, like, ah, ah. And it was so powerful and so deep and so much sobbing coming out from what I have been holding inside. And it just started coming out, and he would hold me while I did that. And I think this is really interesting because the more I went into this whole thing, like I bet I went, I don't know, 10 minutes of and then after it's like it was like I love mathematics, and the idea of a sine and a cosine wave where they go up and they go to the balance, and then they go down to the lower peak, and then they go up to the balance, and up to the balance. I'm doing the screen. It's like you go up and then you go down to the balance, and then or at mid balance, and then you go down, and then you come back up, and so this if in terms of negativity and stuff like that, I probably should reverse it. I'm going to reverse it just for the heck of it because of the way we perceive things. So I'm in this deep sobbing, this of grief, incredible grief, and it's like going up to the deep or the highest part. I'm going to call it the highest part of grief, and he's holding me, and I'm free to do it, and I'm letting it all happen. There's nothing in the way. Sometimes when you cry, I know for me, when I cry, it's like I can feel myself holding back, but I was not holding back. I was like, oh, all to the, like, everything I had gotten, I was letting out. And then then after I got to this peak, I noticed this, it would start to drop, and then it wasn't quite as peak anymore, and would go down to a balance. And then when it hit balance, it would go to this, I would start to feel this sense of the beginning of a sense of joy. And it would magnify again. And the farther it went down to the peak, it would be this incredible bliss. It was like I was just in incredible bliss. And then it would come back, start coming back up again. And it would come back up to midpoint again. And then I would go into another thing of grief and sobbing. And it went like this for over an hour. Over an hour, I was doing this to the peak of sorrow, to the peak, to the balance, to the peak of bliss. They were like flip sides. Like if you look at records, old record technology, they're like flip sides of the same record: sorrow and bliss. Sorrow and bliss. Or those of you that like the more traditional way, it would be like sorrow down and bliss up high, whatever you want to look, how you want to look at it. And it would kept doing that. And it didn't, the only time it ended was that finally it came to a point where I had done so much, and I was so peace with it, that I realized that I had an appointment or something like that, and I broke it off. I broke it off after about an hour. But the reason why I share this is because that was a natural process in me. I didn't make that happen. There's this natural process when you release sorrow, then you deepen to bliss. And then eventually, as this kept going, like that, it comes to a balance where sorrow and bliss are the same thing. They are the same present moment. They are just the peace of being alive, being alive. And then, because there's no There's no amplification because there's no more drama and judgment about it. Like, see, when I saw it being like greater and greater sorrow, more and more coming out of me, that was a judgment call on me. It just was what it was. Sorrow and bliss finding this center. And they naturally find that. They naturally find that. I suspect a lot of times when people pass on from this world, they go through something like that before they die, some sort of a experience like that where they're they say things flash between your eyes and before your eyes, your life. I would suspect something like that emotionally too would happen, where you would, because holding on to this life as a being that you're not, God, that takes our whole life to do that, to hold on to ourselves as we're not. And it's like every soul, I mean, it's this true. Every soul that you meet is literally, not figuratively, they are literally, as they are right now, perfect. And not just perfect, but they're the infinite of all that God is, all that, not just God, but all that the energy is. They're the infinite part of that, as they are right now. They are the bliss, the sorrow, everything of the universe, whole as one, perfect. They're just perfect as they are. Now, in the world, though, we craft that into an avatar or a self concept that becomes, then that sense of ID becomes subject to this whole world about it. It's like in the world, is your sense of self all right? Is your life okay as you're attached to your world? Hell no. There's poverty, there's sickness, there's relationship, there's hatred, there's lack of compassion, there's over compassion. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on in the world, but that's all through this concept of a sense of self, that that's who we are. And as a sense of self, we're going to run through that. I've said this before. It's like literally we're playing this out on stage. We're playing this out on stage. And as you start to awaken more, what you will start to see is that you will continue to play your roles out on stage with all the people, all the other avatars. They're playing their roles out too. We're all acting it out. We're all writing the scripts and the lines. We're doing a lot of extemporaneous theater, all of us before each other, all the time till we die. And it's all the time. Yet when you start to awaken and you start to see who you are, I mean, that starts to dawn on you. And it isn't like a concept, like I say, I am. The realization is, what starts to happen is you start to notice that who you are, the I am, the observer, you're seeing through that, and you're feeling your presence as that, while at the same time you're acting out, and you're watching, and you're able to notice yourself acting it out seamlessly. It's like not back and forth, but you simultaneously are acting out your role as the avatar or the self, while simultaneously you are taking in the whole of it and watching it. You are watching it. You're doing both. And why that starts to become really, really important is because the more when you're watching it, there's less energy you put into actually crafting the stage production, and more about following where it goes with the drama of you engaged with everyone else doing the drama. And you're watching that. You're just watching that. Okay. When you start to see that, then you realize that you're in the audience, in a sense. You're in the audience, or you are the audience, watching the whole production. You're watching this whole production, which looks dramatically, all this stuff, but actually has no meaning at all compared to any right, wrong, bad, good, has no meaning at all in that direction. It just is the flavor of the month. And you're watching it all from the stage. And, and what happens is, in real life, as you start to awaken to that, you fall asleep to that sitting in the audience, and you find yourself more and more gravitating to being in the stage and in your character in the stage. Self-growth, self-esteem, self-empowerment, self-abasement, self-good, bad, all that stuff, drama of that. And then when you catch that again, then you also see, oh no, no, wait a minute. You can watch it, and eventually get to the point where when it's going on, I mean, I'm at the point right now when things like that happen, where when I'm involved or other people are involved in doing the drama and I'm watching it, I'm starting to learn it's like to treat it like a stage, like if it's anger, if it's sadness, if it's problems, if it's whatever, this is dread or things like that. It's kind of like, you would sit if it's a stage play and you would go, oh my God, you do that so well. Oh my God, this production is incredible. Oh, it's so intricate how the problems and everything fit together. Oh, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you're watching it all. You're not in it. You're not, you're in a sense, you're in it because you're in the theater, but you're not of it. You're just watching it. And even if you're playing your part, you're playing a part of someone who's going like, well, this is interesting. I know this is not real, but I'm feeling, emotionally and attached wise, to get involved, or I want to just get involved for some reason. I want to play it out. And it's like a part of you can sit there and go, that's okay. We watch it all. Everything is the truth that sets us free. The truth is noticing everything, the truth of what's actually going on. Okay. So that starts to happen. And that really happens for everyone. Now, and so, but with a lot of people, and maybe who are listening to this right now, a lot of people may not see that right away. They may not even believe that. They may be so wrapped up in the self or the avatar part of them that it's like they got to work it out on stage. You finally got to work it out on stage till you finally get to the point where you go, you know what, this stage sucks. There's limits to it. Even when you go into the spiritual part of the stage, you go to unity, or you go to some Buddhist camp or something like that, and they say, well, this is how you raise your awareness. You finally get that your awareness is not being raised. It's like a reflection of your awareness that you're still projecting into the falseness of what you're seeing and experiencing. That's all that's going on. That's all that's going on. When you pull back, then you can let go. You can go, oh, no harm, no. That's why Jesus was teaching forgiveness. He's going, you don't get it. It's no harm, no foul. You sit back in the present moment and watch. It's no harm, no foul. Because there's no harm, no foul, is there? No, no, no. There's no real harm or foul here. This is a stage production, even to the point of of murder, abuse, the things that happen physically, emotionally, and etc. to the avatar on the planet. It's like that's why he was saying at the end, he was saying, you don't get it. You're going to get attached. You're going to get really attached to what they do, to what you know who I am, but you're going to believe that they have power over me, because you're going to fall asleep again in the fear that this is what can happen in the world to people in bodies and minds and emotions and their lives. This is going to happen. And you're not going to be able to, you're not going, he said, is on the Garden of Gethsemane, he would have said something like, even I'm having trouble getting clear on this. So there's times I lose focus on it, and I turn to Spirit. I say, I'm losing focus here. I'm getting scared here. I don't want to do it, but I'm your man. I'm out because I'm going to stay in the moment here. That's why I came here, and I trust the moment, and I can trust the moment, and I can stay in the moment. So I'll do it. But all of you will not be able to do it. No, no, no. It's going to scare the bejeebers out of you. You're gonna take you to the left, take you way off the back into the playing field, and you're gonna have to recover from that and go, wait a minute, we just really went totally unconscious, didn't we? Rightly so, because you could not maintain consciousness with the attachment that you have. It's the same thing that's happening to all of us right now. We're attached. It's like the party I went to years ago in Canada, and there was a young couple there, and the discussion got real heavy and deep, and then it was about death, and the young girl, she's like 25 or something like that, and she's saying something like, well, you don't fear death, do you? I mean, death is just nothing to death. It's just this. And I'm going like, don't fear death? Well, I fear the experience of it, yeah, because it's like I'm attached. And she's like, no. She's like, no, you couldn't fear death. I'm sitting there going like, at that point, it's almost like a part of me wanted to pull a loaded gun out and point it at her and say, okay, find a piece with it and just fire around right by her ear and say, the next one's going through your head. How do you feel about this? Well, wait a minute. It's not real. The gun's not real. The bullet's not real. The end of your physicality is not real. Here it is, though. Right. Or the doctor says, yeah, you've got breast cancer and you've got 3 months to live. You've got 3 months to live. In other words, your experience on stage is just been reduced to 3 months. Are you sitting there going like, well, I mean, at some point you're going to have to, you'll let it go. But are you just going to go, whoa, that's no big deal because I'm just one with the universe. Give me a break.
There was a I got to be real careful maintaining anonymity, but there was a close friend of mine down here is very, very ill, very, very ill. And one of the teachers, I'm in Mexico, one of the teachers used the opportunity to get on the soapbox and announce how wonderful it is that we're not bodies. And I just like, this ain't, I don't know, Dale.
Well, I've had a lot of just that. I mean, to say that, and then the follow-up question is, so is it wonderful to know that you're not bodies, yet you cannot even conceive of believing and acting upon that because you're scared shitless about what's going to happen to the body that you don't know, that you already know is not you? I mean, how does that feel? How does it feel to be so attached to it that you run like a little bitch hiding because of the thought of it, yet you know it's not real? Does that feel good? Does that feel freeing to be like that? No. Of course it doesn't. What's freedom is when you are released from it. But that's the release from it is release. And then there's no conversation. There's no conversation about the fear of it or anything like that. No one would say I'm free of that freedom. They'd be like lying around in, if they had cancer and dying, they'd be lying around in bliss going like, oh my God, this is amazing. Cancer's amazing. Hospitals are amazing. My life's amazing. Everything's amazing. Amazing. That's forgiveness and detachment, like true detachment. Yet, what Krishnamurti said, that the whole world would change if 10 people could really listen to someone, like giving birth to them, being a midwife, helping them give birth to what was inside them, having no judgment on what they said, no attachment, no triggering or anything, just completely like be with them to like going like, oh, come out. I'm here, like my friend Larry kind of was doing with me in that place where he just held me. Okay. And in that conversation, David Bohm, the great physicist, says, well, why isn't that happening? And Krishnamurti says, this is 83, he says, there aren't 10 people. There aren't 10 people in this whole world who can do that at that point. And I don't know, he didn't say he was one of them. He was amazing, and he did not say he was one of them. Maybe he was. I don't know. But I believe him. I really do believe him. And because I've seen it too. I see when I try to practice it. Man, talk about a task to practice it. You certainly get to see what you're attached to. Like anything that happens that's said or done in perception, and your mind and your gut and everything,
I want to
start reacting to it.
I want to jump in real quick because as soon as you said the word attachment, I got a hit because I did a Zoom call, Dale, earlier. Actually, not too much. Well, it was 10 a.m. So 4.5 hours ago. And I was supposed to do the Zoom call with the woman a week ago. However, she was in Asheville, North Carolina, straight up the path of that Hurricane Helene. And I didn't hear from her. I said, okay, she's got a power outage. Obviously, I wasn't watching the news. I knew the hurricane was going to, so I just thought maybe she was out of power. A couple days later, she finally texted me and said, check the news, Kenneth. And that's I've been kind of hermitage in Mexico. That was a couple days late. It was awful beyond belief, what she went through. Anyway, she was able to get out of Asheville, North Carolina, get down to her mom's in Georgia, and we did the Zoom call today. But she was a different person this morning than she was 2 weeks ago. I mean, she had lived without power for I don't know how many days, lived without food, I don't know how many days. She chose to stay in the house, because she was house sitting and was responsible for animals. But that was the exact word she used. I mean, she was dead. She was very serious on the call this morning. She said she's a different person. after having ridden out Helene in Nashville. She said she lost the fear of all of her attachments.
Hmm.
And she was, I mean, she was rocking and rolling this morning. That's why when you said the word attachments, doesn't, what brought you and I together was, a dark night of the soul in my parable. And, so here we go. Dark night of the soul, cancer, hurricanes, I'll let you continue. But when I heard the word attachment, I wanted to speak up.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing is we're poking the bear all the time in those illusions, poking holes in it, poking it and going like, is there anything, does this have substance? And the more you poke, you find that there's nothing with substance there. Even what appeared to be what you think is substance is something you've created, you're attached to in place of substance. It's not whole. It's not free, so yeah. And it's so how suffering is recognizing that we cause suffering by our attachments. And there's a cost for that, letting that go. I mean, the cost of letting go of attachments literally is the cost of letting go of your life as you know it. Like what your friend evidently going through something like that, where she had to let go of her life as she knew it. You're not the same because the life that you had is not the same anymore.
I want to share one more thing. I'm not going to dwell on the past, but I had a pretty rough ride, winter 23, 24. And I was having dinner with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of gave him a little window, and he nailed it. He said, Kenneth, you frighten people. And I go, what do you mean? What do you mean I frighten people? And he goes, because that's real simple. He said, you've got nothing left to lose. I thought of that for a minute. Like, well, it's true. I don't have anything to lose. I said, yeah, you can speak what where you're going. You don't have to make nice anymore. And I never connected the dots there, but you know what? That may be threatening for some people.
Well, for most it will be threatening because, it's just like when you're wearing or you're exposing these secrets that get held back, it's too, everybody's doing whatever they can to keep them hidden. They don't want to look at that. I mean, people would, one of the last Unity Church I was speaking at, I was doing it, I was doing like once or twice a month I wasn't the minister, but they were having me speak. It was in Unity of El Cajon. And I kept getting people coming up to me saying stuff like, you're just too deep, Dale. You're just too deep. We don't understand that. And yet I'd go, and I kind of knew what that was, because then there was another little old lady who the first time she saw me, she was like real frustrated after she heard me speak, and she says, I don't understand what you're talking about. I just don't understand. It's like I feel it, but I don't understand it. And I was talking to her saying, like, kind of my whole analogy of a pachinko machine where you shoot some balls up and stuff like that, and they start rearranging as they fall, and then eventually you hit one and all kinds of balls fall and the whole landscape changes. But I just said, I said, yeah, I understand that. That's not bad. That is not out of the ordinary that you would feel that way, because that's how I speak. I really speak to group, because I knew I spoke to group, like consciousness, allowing that to rearrange, not just in myself and the person I'm talking, but the whole, because I'm connected to all. So I'm in the group. I'm talking to that. And then the next time she would talk to me, she'd say, next time she talked to me, she was like, after a talk, she'd say, I remember it was a series of things where she would go, oh, you said that. I think I'm getting that. And then she'd go on more like that. She'd be more and more like, I'm getting this. I'm getting this. And, by the time I left the church, that had been happening quite a bit. And she was getting it because she was wrestling with it. She had been wrestling with it. Now, when you say, if I speak to people and I know it's true because I'm not the author of it. I mean, in fact, sometimes I look at it when I'm speaking and part of me goes, but I can't do much of it anymore. In fact, I did it a couple times here when I was looking at and kind of trying in an instant to review what I said, and it's like the spirit says, "Oh, if this is beyond your ability to analyze, you aren't going to get this." I went, "Okay, well, fine, I'll just keep going." And but when people would say that, they'd say like, "You're too deep." I knew what they were saying. They were saying, "I don't want to look at this." They weren't saying it's too deep for them. I mean, it really wasn't too deep for them. It wasn't too threatening for them. I mean, well, in a way, it probably was, but it wasn't too deep for them. It was too close to the area of denial that they were guarding. It was way too close to the area of denial they were guarding that basically said, we don't look at anything outside this realm. And I was starting to seep in there with these ideas, or spirit was starting to seep in with these and move things. And so it was like the ego's response, which was like, pay no attention to that man behind the green, behind the curtain. Pay no attention to him. Pay no attention to him. He's way too heavy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Stay away from that. Stay away from that. And I respect that. I can respect that. In fact, when that happens, a wise person would start asking questions and saying, even that, not that it's wrong. Again, it's not wrong. I started out saying that's not wrong. Those kind of things. That's not wrong to do that. But a wise person eventually would start saying, like Shakespeare's line, methinks you protest too much. Like what is going on here? Why are you having such a reaction to something that you say, like if he was talking about, say the principles of accounting, and you had no concept of accounting, would you be having an emotional reaction to this? Or would you just go, this is boring. I don't know what this guy's talking about. And that would be my reaction to me if you had no connection with it, or seemingly no connection or no need for it. You'd probably sit there going like, I guess you'd be sitting there going like, this is boring. Wouldn't be like it's too deep or anything like that. It would be just like you'd fall asleep, probably fall asleep, say, what was he talking about? No, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be like that. Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, we're, this awakening we're going through is going through the whole planet, but for some of us, it's going to be more conscious, and for the masses, it's not going to be very conscious. It's going to be like the 100th monkey effect, where 100 monkeys
I,
wake
I'd
up,
love
and
if
then
somebody,
10 million wake up.
yeah, I'd love to just sit back and wait for the 100th monkey so I could ride on somebody else's coattails. No, I decided for the dark night of the soul.
Right. Well, but you see, you're in that place where, like me, where we're in that like jet stream of how 100th monkey stuff generates, and it's like it's pretty exciting and pretty peaceful and pretty emotional, pretty crazy making, and it's very alive. It's very much the energy of life. You're sitting there going like, this is the energy of life. You don't know what it means, yet it's what's happened. That's why you really don't know what it's mean, because in the 100th monkey effect, there was no way one of the monkeys, even if he's thinking cognitively, could say, now, how is my part in this affecting all this? He wouldn't be doing that. It'd be like 100 monkeys eventually would be moving to a place in this jet stream of awakening, where then it would be like, oh my God. And then they'd look at everybody's waking up. Everybody's waking up. And it's like, wow. All you could say, you couldn't say, I did that. You'd just be going like, or how did I do that? You'd be going like, wow. Because you'd be reflecting the inner state freeing itself in the whole. It would be you would just see it on the whole. And that's really what we're doing here. That's what's going on in the planet right now. That's why, people like, I was thinking like Trump is real interesting, because not to get political, but Trump, the one thing I see that Trump stood for was giving voice to that part of our consciousness that's just so committed to suffering and working hard and doing, trying to make sense out of madness, and feeling like they should, and that they failed, and that others have caused it. And there's, and what is it? Like half of the nation is like that. Half of the nation is like that. And no one, like the liberals who still, they got their own kind of attachment. They're going with like kind of like a very straight, that's a different attachment. It's like a spiritual attachment, like a quote spiritual attachment, which is the same attachment. It's just got a better name. And I guess you feel better about yourself when you say it. But that whole group looks at, the thing about that group, which makes it so clear as to how asleep they are, is because they don't look at a half the nation responding to basically a crazy man. I mean, he's getting crazier and crazy. He's like senile on steroids. That's what Trump is, senile on steroids. He's going crazy like that. And these people are finding a voice through him. And no one's going like, why is that happening? What do you think's going on there? And they're not seeing, and they're trying to apply the thing of whatever, everything from wokeness to just general sensibility of civility and stuff like that, to bring that to bear on these people who are suffering. Of course, they're suffering in this massive like a massive hole with no end in sight, trapped in the world. All right. They're not seeing the way out. They're feeling like the only way they possibly could get out is if a madman could help manipulate things away from the people they're projecting that are causing it. Well, that's crazy, and that's also very difficult because it keeps you locked into it. But can we look at our brothers and sisters who are locked into that and say, instead of just calling them crazy and just, can you say that would be a hard place to be? And what can we do to include them more? How can we include them more in our awareness? First of all, not what we do for them, but what we in our awareness. And of course, Trump came up to basically expose that, and he didn't know he was doing that. That's for sure. So anyway, that's a little bit off the side on that, but
actually, I would like to add to that. It's very seldom that I ever get to address that 4-letter word or 5-letter word, TRUMP, and most of the time I won't, because when you're on the battleground itself, it's you're not going to vote for that man, and of course, you know what, I'm not going to vote. Period. I'll say that to the internet. I'm done voting. But you finally said what I've been saying. I won't bring it up because I'll in a conversation I'll say, why are people voting for Trump? And they just go right over my head. But I can speak that to you. That's my question too, is why are they voting for Trump? They are voting for Trump because they are desperate. They are crying for help. Doesn't the Course in Miracles say that it's a cry for love? Isn't half the nation therefore crying for love? And the only way they know how is to vote for a madman. Of course, everybody knows he's a madman. No, people aren't idiots. They may have low IQs,
but they see a way to cry for help through him that allows them to bypass the obvious madness. They don't rationalize over that. You could say whatever you want about what the things he's saying, and they would go, not registering. It'd be like going to a Jehovah's Witness and giving them an alternative scripture to what they're hanging on to, and they're pushing on you. They would just go, not hearing that. All I'm hearing is this. Well, can't you see that? Can't you hear that? Not seeing that, not hearing that. What I'm seeing and hearing is here. And yet, are we seeing and hearing it? Because this is where it's calling it. Because, of course, in politics, this. In politics, even with the most genteel liberal politics, there's no way they're going to address that. You know that, right? There's no way they're going to address, because that would require, again, a dissolution of the whole nation, a dissolution of the whole political body, the whole body, because it would have to collapse into a way where somehow we would find a place together to be one in a, it's almost like we'd have to all somehow manage to get into that sine wave together in our own way together of that sorrow to joy. How could we do that? And the only way you could do that, when I did that one time, I let go of everything to do that. It's the only way I could do it. And for others to do that's not going to happen. Yet knowing the truth that makes us free about seeing it is essential. I mean, if God, look at Course in Miracles, and would Course in Miracles say that Trump is wrong, or Trump is evil, or Trump shouldn't be? Would Course in Miracles say that? Of course it wouldn't say
Miracles would
that.
say there is no Trump.
Well, yeah. It would say you're caught in the image of it. It would say, and that's the lead. That's the lead. Like where it's like, again, what is the truth that makes us free? What can I see in that? When I, that's when I look at all that whole phenomena, it's like I'm starting to look and see that whole thing about where that, I mean, right now, people are so angry. They are so angry in this country, you know, really angry about everything. And it's getting worse. And we know why they're angry. We know why they're angry. They're not who they think they are, and who they think they are, like you said, is making them feel desperate because they think they're absolutely sure that they are who they think they are. And they would feel desperate because there's no hope in that world. There's no hope in that world for them. There's really no hope in any of the world for us.
Uh-oh. Dale, I just lost electricity. Are we still connected?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here in Mexico. Power goes out occasionally, and it might interrupt our internet. We'll just keep going, but if it does interrupt the internet, I got to give you a heads up.
Still says the meeting's being recorded.
All right. Well, so then maybe they've got the internet on battery backup. Okay, so far so good. Keep going.
So, well, but just not to go too deep with that, but it's like, I mean, the things like Trump or anything, like whatever you've got that is you really have a buzz about, boy, that is the thing to start looking at. That is really the thing to start looking at and going, where's my attachment to this? Same thing with, I'm not going to go into that. No, I'm not going to go into that.
No, but I can pick up on that because I did an interview this morning with Ricky Como, and the woman who had just gotten out of the hurricane. And if you want to sum up the interview in just a few short words, if we spot it, we got it. If you're angry at Trump, Trump's inside of each person that's angry at Trump. Now, I can't say that at most dinner parties because the socially acceptable thing in those circles is to hate Trump. If you don't hate Trump, we hate you. Listen, this has been going on for hundreds and thousands of years. Right. I mean, as you were describing this to me, I mean, what was the French Revolution? Chop off the heads.
Right. And you can't, it isn't just that you can't say it because you wouldn't be liked. It would be pearls before swine.
Well, yeah, basically,
it would be.
I get up.
Pearls before swine.
I get up, bust tables, and wash dishes.
Yeah, when it gets, that's to me like a lot of the spiritual practice that I find in my New Age kind of stuff, from Course in Miracles to Unity to a lot of stuff, where there's a lot of this stuff where it's like, to me, it's like I sit there and I go, this is madness. This is absolute madness. You have the books and the print right there, and you could, like Course in Miracles, for instance, when people start like fighting with the ego and stuff like that, and I'm sitting there going like, all you have to do is open your book, and whatever you read will enlighten you as the fact of how nonsensical that is, how insane that is to even follow that way of thought. And then, to build courses, like when I was down there, and that one gal was saying you have to murder your ego. She was like James's special pet that speaks all the time down there. And she's going like, well, you have to murder your ego. And she's going on for like 10 minutes on that. And I'm going like, I'm sitting in the back going, Dale, this, you don't really need to have a voice here because this is not your group. You're sitting in on it. Just sit and watch. And I went, thank you. And I sat and watched, but I was listening to this and I'm going like, man, and this is Course in Miracles. This is batshit crazy, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it's batshit crazy. But everybody's saying it's not. Everybody, it's like the emperor's new clothes. Everybody's going like, no, he's got really fine clothes on. Yeah, this concept is really cloaked in fine principles. And I'm sitting there going like, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing lack of principles. When I'm seeing lack of awareness. I'm seeing emotional reaction. That's what I'm seeing here. I'm not seeing that other thing.
It was that very same person that got up and said to the person who's very ill, isn't it wonderful that we're not bodies?
I could believe that. Because that person seems to be in denial about, and that's okay. She's got to work through that. But it's like, you got to see that. You got to see that when someone's in denial about the principles, it's like being in a 12-step group. If you're in a 12-step group, that's the great thing about a 12-step group, that when you get in the group, anybody can say whatever the hell they want, and there's no crosstalk. But that doesn't mean everybody who speaks there, you're going to be taking notes on, going like, oh, and you did what now? Oh, I'll try that too. I'll try that too. Murder the ego? Yeah, I'll do that too. Why? Because she's an expert in this. I'll do that too. No, you don't have to do that. You can let people work their stuff. I mean, that's actually a good place to work it out. So whatever. I just listened, and but
Okay. We got to decide on a topic for this, a name for this. This stage sucks. Jesus did not die for our sins. Life is a pachinko machine. Trump is senile on steroids, or murder the ego. I'm sorry, Dale.
I don't know.
I just love it when we do this on Sundays.
I don't know.
But actually, I already made up my decision. Jesus did not die for our sins. I mean, this is what. Oh, I got slammed again today. The when that woman came out of the hurricane, I can't wait to see where she goes now. I mean, I thought she was packing some force before, and she's going to pack a force now. But she basically said, again to me, are you judging religion still? Because again, I mean, this is full responsibility. If I spot it, I got it. Anyway, I did see.
It's interesting. I'll share this with you. When I came out of the dark night of the soul and some of that stuff that happened after that, like I kind of went, I used to refer that there were two dark nights of the soul for me. There was one clear one that everything, like, that was a clear dark night of the soul. That was in Anchorage from 2006 to 2008, about a year and 3/4. But then when I left Anchorage in 2010, I went through this. Even before that, it started just the end of 2010. For about 2 to 3 years, I went through this dark night pertaining to place, having a place. We talked last week about having no place. Really had no place. And that was a kind of a sub dark night of the soul. But it really wasn't the dark night of the soul so much as it was like what I'd learned in the dark night of the soul was focused on the sense of place that I realized I had such a deep attachment to. And it was like God, Spirit's going like, well, we're gonna look at that. We're gonna take a real close look at that. And I did. And that work, I came through that. But it's really interesting now because I'm right now, I'm a very aware person. I mean, if somebody was to say to me, how, like, when are you present? And I'm going, for the most part, I am present all the time. I might not be blissfully present. Sometimes I'm in the presence of what the fuck presence. Excuse me, you don't probably put this one on, but it's like, what the fuck presence. It's kind of like, I don't, this doesn't feel like bliss, and I'm attached to this, and I don't know what's going on, but I see that it's not real, but it's still, I don't know what it means. And I notice that more with my life now, because I had that thing about the ego. The egos bring, now it's probably why I'm not, I'm speaking here again, and eventually maybe I'll speak more, because I know I have some really important, really beautiful stuff and freeing stuff to share. But what Spirit's been really teaching me is it's almost like Spirit's going like, you know what I need from you, Dale? And I go, it's not for me to enlighten others, is it? And it's Spirit's going like, well, yeah, but that's not really what I need from you. What I need from you is this. You're getting very aware, right? I don't need you so much as to help other people get aware. I do want that because that's important. But what I really need you to do is I really need you to go deeper and fine tune the stuff you're still asleep with. I really need you clear. I need you to be, if you want to be a model for me, which I think you are, a model for this truth, I need you to be a clearer, deeper model, which means I need you to wrestle deeper in the things that just, everything in you says, this is not fair. This does not make sense. I need you to go into that. I need you to go in that and ask yourself, what makes you think it could be not fair? What makes you think it could not be perfect? What is that? What is that? I need you to look at that. And I really like that I don't necessarily like it when I'm doing it, but I really like it because it was like, if you know, when I leave this earth, I can help lift people and stuff like that, and that's fine. I did that as a minister a lot too, but I would really like to live. If I leave this, when I leave this planet and this life, I would really like to say in my heart of hearts, oh my God, I excavated so deeply, I exposed so much in me, and I know it helps others just by the fact that I went down into it. I fearlessly looked at it and went, "Holy shit! Can I look at this? Can I look at this through all the stuff that makes me want to fight it so bad?" And I'm going,
Dale,
"Yeah."
I've got the epitaph for your tombstone. He dug through a pile of pony shit and he found the pony. Buddy, we got it's 57 minutes, and my neighbor from upstairs. I'm moved. I'm not at Nomstead.
Okay,
Over
that's cool.
At Via de Angel, and I may have to start taking these in the chapel because I think they want more quiet here. And Kenneth is not very quiet when he does his Zoom calls. Dale, this has been priceless, absolutely priceless. So many things. It's just like,
oh, thank you, brother. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to connection, because it's really about where two or more are gathered. And here we are, you and me.
well,
And
yeah,
you and
trust
me,
me.
and it goes out to others too. But it starts with you and me gathered together.
We're injecting this into the Akashic records. This has been Kenneth Price on Reverend Kenneth Price, Sunday, October 6th, with Reverend Dale Blackford for our ministry, two or more are one.com. Leave your comments below in the comment section, and look in the description line and look at the website for the ministry. You can contact Dale, or you can contact myself, or you can just enjoy this the hour long. We got tons of stuff on the YouTube channel too. All these Sunday mornings, freedom from suffering, have been archived. All right, much love, everyone. God bless, and may the force be with you.